everybody. I am so excited to have my friend Jessica here. Not only is she a fellow frog, but she is just an amazing all-around human. That's right, go frogs. She's an amazing all-around human who is doing some amazing work with kind of disrupting the world with this conversation about happiness, which I absolutely love. Jessica, why don't you tell us about yourself just a little bit and about this project More Happy and this unhappy American?
Yeah. First, I am so excited to be on here with the two of you. I've been looking forward to this for a couple weeks now. Ever since you were on my podcast, I've been looking forward to when we get to talk about money and happiness again, because they're so closely linked. But I am Jessica Lyonford. I founded Project More Happy back in 2018, so 7 years ago now. And I founded it because I think that what I've seen over the years and in my first career was that we really have the definition of happiness wrong, and it's doing a disservice to all of us by not understanding what happiness is or how it works. And the Unhappy American actually came about earlier this year. It's a podcast that is a mini-series podcast. It's 10 episodes. They drop Sunday nights. We just dropped one. We're on episode 3. But it is all about, it came from the idea that if you look at our leaders, like across party lines, across the aisles, if you look at the people that are leading the country, that are leading companies, that are leading organizations, like I see a lot of miserable, unhappy people as leaders. And I don't necessarily blame them for it, because they are a mirror of us. And so the Unhappy American is really my way of taking the science and the research and saying, here's why we've gotten it so backwards, and here's what we can do to turn it around. And the first episode was about consumerism and money, and how that narrative is really hurting us as Americans and as a culture.
I know when I saw you post the first episode, I think it was like within 30 seconds of you posting the first episode that I was like, we have to talk about this, because you call out the BS, right? You call out how, and we talk about this about how when we're sad, depressed, lonely, whatever, like the first thing we do is reach for our wallet and we go try to buy it, right?
Yeah.
We go try to buy our happiness. We deal with that a lot in our coaching, where people are just trying to fill some kind of hole of something with purchases or experiences. And so from your research and your work and all of that, tell us how in the world did we get there?
Yeah, so it's interesting, especially with this topic, because I come from a very different perspective in that my first career, which was a very successful one, but left me feeling very hollow, was in advertising. So I was a creative director. I led national ad campaigns for brands that everyone here has spent money on and has interacted with at some point in their life. I was really good at it. It was not an alignment thing for me, which is how I ended up in burnout and in the happiness space. But I was a part of what I now see as the machine that keeps us on this hamster wheel chasing happiness without there ever actually being a destination for us to arrive at. So we're constantly looking for external things to fill that void, to tell us we're worthy, to tell us we're good enough. And advertising and marketing is really good at getting you to do that. It says, oh, if you want to be a better mom, well, then you need to do dinner this way. Or if you want to be a better partner, you should wear this fragrance. Or if you want to show up better in any of these different capacities, you need to buy something. Like that's the solution that we are sold, and we are sold it, 24/7 now that we have phones on us that are constantly sending us, feeding us messages. And, we have television, we have our laptops, we have it is a constant feed of you will be worthy once you fix this one thing by buying this one product. And we just get that over and over and over. So it makes sense that when we get sad or when we get frustrated or when we get angry or when we're feeling like we're not showing up as our best selves, it is our natural inclination, because it's been trained into us, to go and spend money.
Yeah.
Right. But it doesn't work like that. And psychologically, there's a lot of research around how it doesn't work like that, because when we spend money, we get this hit of dopamine, but the dopamine releases as quickly as it shows up. So we always go back to that baseline of happiness, which is why, usually when we make that splurge purchase, we don't feel that great not too long after.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things we talk about a lot is aligning your money with your values. And that takes a lot of pre-work. And then in the moment, you don't feel as reactive because you've been proactive. And so one of the things that we talk about, I mean, we see it in our teenagers, right? The new Alani flavor came out, and the new pumpkin spice is out, and the new whatever, and you'll be cool if whatever. And it's exactly what you're talking about. And we fight it all day long. And it's only times a million when it comes to our careers and our, parenting and our success and how we measure everything else. So you want to ask a question, babe?
Well, you mentioned the magic word for me, which is science, right?
Yeah.
Love science. I'm a scientist, right? So how do you have science kind of influence and impact what you're researching and where you've come to on these conclusions? And how does that enable you to be a better truth teller?
Yeah. So for me, I distrusted the wellness space and the happiness space for a long time, because it felt like snake oil. It felt like rah, without a lot of substance behind it. And so I didn't allow myself to step into it and try to figure things out for myself until I dug deep on the research. That was like how I had to tell my brain that this is real. This isn't just made up. It's not fluff. It's not feel good. There is a lot of science behind it. And the reason I think we're so skeptical is because we just started studying happiness and human flourishing within the past 40 years. I mean, it was the 90s when this whole field of psychology and neuroscience really started showing up, because for the longest time, for hundreds and hundreds of years, we were studying the people that were broken or not working the way we thought humans were supposed to work to try to fix everyone. And in the 90s, some really smart people said, hey, that's great, we should do that. But let's also study the people who are doing really well so we can start replicating that. So a lot of this science is really new, but it also echoes a lot of what philosophers have been saying for, thousands of years. But it's finally put that, at least for me, it's put the research behind it to where it was easier for me to accept. So now I use it because I know there's a whole lot of people that are just like me out there that aren't going to take it surface level. They need to know how it is actually affecting their brain, how, dopamine and serotonin and oxytocin, and all these things work together so that we can design lives that actually make us feel good. And so it's not just going through the motions. It's not toxic positivity. It's all going to work out. Like, it can all work out, but it's going to take us doing things and rewiring our brains and hacking how we show up in our lives for it to work out. And so I think it's that substance piece that the research has really shown up for me. And that's what I use now to communicate to other people.
So when you talk about the science, I'm more in the touchy-feely side of things, and he's more in the like replicate results kind of science.
Give me the data.
Yeah, he wants the data. So, for me, I hear some of what you're saying in a lot of places, right?
Mm-hmm.
I hear it on commercials, and I hear it and some of the things that you referenced, right? Is like some of the wellness space claims to have the science, right? Yeah. So, and we even have some of those feel good feelings when we're grinding, when we're exhausted, when we're burning out, but then it comes to a point, right? Mm-hmm. So how do you advise us to discern the crap from what's real?
Yeah. So people aren't going to like this answer because it's where the hard work is.
Yeah.
I mean, and you talked about it in terms of finances and budgeting earlier.
Yeah.
We cannot show up authentically and true to ourselves and true to the kind of happiness that only we can know and understand for ourselves if at first we don't sit down and do the hard work of defining what happiness and success is for us in the first place, right? Like if we don't sit down and say, what does my version of happiness look like? Then we spend a lot of that's where you have the misalignment. That's where the burnout comes from. Like we think burnout is from working too much. Burnout is a misalignment between where you're putting all your energy and what your values are and how you want to be showing up in the world. So if those two things aren't aligned, and that might be from working too many hours, but it also comes from alignment in how you're spending your money and how all your resources that are at your disposal are being spent. Because it's either working for you towards your version of happiness or it's working against you. And so, yeah, when you're working really hard on something that you love and you're passionate about, like that feels really good.
Yeah.
But if you're working really hard on something that isn't something you care that much about, or it's helping someone else succeed but not helping you, like that's where the misalignment comes from. And that's where a lot of our frustration and resentment starts to filter and starts to come into.
Yep.
And I think that's a really important point that you kind of implied. Your definition of happiness is different than mine, is different than Micah's,
Yes.
right? We all have to come to our own definition.
Yes. Yeah. But so often we let other people define it for us.
All right. I'm going to ask a question about privilege.
Okay. Yes.
I think there is at some point a privilege in being able to have the time and space to think about what happiness and success looks like. Would you agree or not agree?
Yes. I think yes and no. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but
Okay.
I think we end up, all of us, because of the way the system is set up.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter what amount of privilege you have, and we all in this conversation have privilege, but the system is set up for us to be in scarcity mode no matter what. And when we are in this place of scarcity, we automatically write off that there's not time for us to do this hard work. But what this work does for us, and it really doesn't take that long. It takes intentionality to say, what actually matters to me? It's not work that costs money. It's work that takes a little time. And we all have some time if we put our phones down for a while, if we prioritize it for ourselves. But when we do this work, we actually start intentionally carving out more time for us. And we start, without even trying so hard, we start making better financial decisions, making better energy decisions, making the circumstances around us better just by understanding what motivates and drives us. And so, yes, there is, like, we do need time and space to do that. And some people, that's going to come a lot easier to carve out a little time and space. But it's not something that requires money, and it doesn't require a whole lot of time. It requires you like sitting in conversation with.
Yep. The reason I say privilege, and I knew it was going to be a double-edged sword, is because some of the conversations that we have with our financial coaching customers is that financial coaching is a privilege, right? And really, at the end of the day, we talk about how this is not rocket science. This is not a secret sauce. This is not anything that is kept in a vault away for just the boldest and brightest and all of those. But it's one of those things, just like you said, that you have to make the choice and set the intention and spend some time. And so we fight a little bit of that, like, well, you have the time, you have the resources, you can have those conversations. I'm working nonstop. But at the end of the day, yes, everybody has a minute or 5 or 10. The scale might be different, but you have the energy and time to invest, even if it's just a fraction or a moment, to think about what your financial future looks like or what your happiness looks like. And I think what we've been replacing it with, and I don't want to answer for you, is somebody else's definition.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so we've just given up and said, well, I don't have time to figure it out for myself. So my mom says I should buy a house. So that's my goal. Or this is what happiness looks like on TV. So that's what I should go after. And so it's a matter of intentionality. So how do we avoid that burnout?
Yeah.
In general.
Yeah. So I do think it's a matter of intentionality, yes, but it's also the default. So I don't think most of us realize that we're choosing
Right.
when we let other people set those expectations for us or set our path for us, right? Like I went into that first career, I felt like I was choosing it, but really it was everyone saying you're going to be good at this, you'll make money doing it, go do it. And I never, it was just default. I never stopped to think twice about it. You know, I don't think a lot of times like we go, why is it I want to buy that house? It's some narrative that was put in you when you were a kid and you've never stopped to question it because it's the general normal narrative that we have sold culturally to everyone, right? You should go to college. Well, should everyone go to college? Like, is that the answer for everyone? Maybe, maybe not. Is it the answer for you personally? Like that is something that only you can answer, is why you want the things that you think you want in life. And when you stop and that's it, you know, saying I'm going to buy this new car. Okay, let's say we have this big expense coming up. I'm going to buy this new car. Just stopping and going, why am I buying this new car? That takes 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Right? So we're not talking about a lot of time. We're talking about learning to interrupt by asking yourself, getting curious about what your intentions are. Like if you need a car to just get from A to B, do you need a new $40,000 car? Like those are the decisions we get to make when we stop and go, why is it that I'm trying to buy this thing or do this thing or earn this title or show up in this way? And it's that curiosity piece that gets us out of default, which is where we spend so much of our time. And you burn out by running in default because you're not in alignment with what you actually know yourself to be at your core.
That is so true. I mean, like, it wasn't until later in life when somebody looked me in the face and they were like, what are your favorite things and what do you want? That I was just like, oh, I mean, we like this and we like that, but I had never sat down and been like, what is my favorite thing? And you're exactly right. Like there's so many times that it's just we pick up the default. Yeah.
And I find it very interesting too. Like we all know what we don't like.
Right?
We've done the work to know what we don't like, what we don't want in our lives, the kind of people we don't want around it. Like we could really easily spout off all that. It shows you that we live in that negativity bias, that we're really good at pointing out the negative. What I ask my clients to do, what I ask the companies I work with to do, the organizations, is to stop and look at the positive and define that too. What is it you actually want? What does feeling good feel like to you? What are the activities that help you feel that way? Because then you can start aligning all your decisions around that sort of energy. But we don't ever stop to go, what is it we actually want?
Well, and for our financial customers, like they know they don't want to be in debt, right? They know they don't want to do X, Y, or Z. But in naming the positive, the future, like that feels harder than naming what they don't want. And they're not polar opposites sometimes, right?
Right.
And the making the plan positive versus making the plan negative, like you're exactly right. Like this is so easy because we can name what we don't want.
Yeah.
But it's really hard to name like, I want to go on a vacation.
Yeah.
And I think part of it is because we don't think we're worthy.
Yeah.
Like I can say, okay, I shouldn't be in debt, that's got some cultural, like, everybody thinks that's okay.
Yeah.
But if I say boldly out here, I want to go on a 2-week cruise around Australia,
Yeah.
like, there's a good chance that people are going to be like, that's a weird goal. Like,
People are afraid to dream.
yeah.
We're afraid to dream. I think this is from my experience and from the work I've done with my clients. We're afraid to dream because we're afraid of other people like crushing that dream for us. So we've learned not to dream. We live in such a cynical world right now that we've learned to stop dreaming. Dreaming scares us. I teach, and Micah, you know this a little, and we won't go into the rabbit hole that is the happy skills, but I teach the skills that help us create more happiness and positive energy in our life. And my favorite, you're not supposed to have favorite kids. I have a favorite skill, but it's because I've recently realized that I'm an optimist. That's how much I've practiced this skill, is to create more positive energy and happiness in your life. You actually need to practice optimism. And dreaming requires that practice and optimism. And we default to cynicism because we think it keeps us safe. We think it keeps us secure. We're guarded when we're cynics. I used to pride myself on being a cynic. Optimism opens us up to dreaming and to possibility. And that can feel really scary because yes, other people could crush it, but also it might not happen, right?
There's failure and
There's
vulnerability.
failure in that.
Yeah.
But also, like, wouldn't you rather try to go big and live your dreams than stay small because you're too scared to? Like, that's the trade-off. There's always, when you say yes to something, you're always saying no to something else. And it's like, if I'm going to say yes to my dream, I'm saying no to staying small. I'm saying no to staying right here where I am. If I say yes to looking for a new job, I'm saying no to this one that keeps me, safe and small. If I'm saying no to a new job, it's because this one, I'm saying yes to something about this one. And I think dreaming plays into that because we're afraid of what that trade-off is. But if we stop and look at what the trade-off is, like most of us would go, yeah, I'd rather live into my dream. We just have to get past that fear piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think fear is that part of that cynicism. It's part of that scarcity mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's hard to break out of that. So, if more stuff's not the path to happiness, what does real joy look like? And how do we get there?
Yeah. I actually love that this conversation started tonight because tonight, the episode that dropped is the gratitude episode. And gratitude is one of the happy skills too. But gratitude is really what gets us out of that scarcity space, right? Because when we are actually practicing gratitude, we can look around us, even when we might not think we have everything we need or want in life. We can look around us and we're training our brain to see and be grateful for what we do have there, right? So it's about saying, I might not be exactly where I want to be right now, but look at the goodness that is here and let that be enough for this moment. And that is a rewiring from a cultural perspective of how we exist and journey together in this world. Saying this moment right here is enough. You right there as you are enough. I am enough. And we don't need to go buy things to make us better. We don't need to go out and do things to make us better. In this moment, everything we have right here is enough. That doesn't mean I stay safe and small in this moment. It means I can appreciate this for what it is, and I can move forward into the next moment as well. But scarcity keeps us in this rumination state where there's never enough. And it's just false. We are like one of the most privileged nations. We have an abundance of stuff. We have solutions for most every problem we could come across in everyday life. Like there is so much at our fingertips, and yet we still feel like the world is scarce and there is not enough. And it's like we can tap into one another and into community when we don't have the stuff we need. That is abundance. That is gratitude.
that is hard to teach.
Right. But I think we see that with every one of our, like 100% of our people we work with, right?
Yeah.
They all have some level of guilt and shame. And it's that fear mentality.
Yep.
And they're beating themselves up because it hasn't worked according to plan yet.
Yep. They're not doing it fast enough. They're not doing it right. They're not doing it. And we look at them a lot. And I just want to take their lovely faces in my hand and go, whose plan? And then I want to say, and who's beating you up? Yeah. And most of the time it's somebody else's plan and they're beating themselves up.
Yeah.
And that's the part we have to break. Yeah. That's the part that is the hardest to break.
Right. And that's why we work on.
Yeah.
This is your plan. It has to work for you.
And you can change it.
Right.
Well, that was the piece I was going to say next, is so much of my practice is around the notion that nothing has to be permanent. No decision I make has to be the decision until I die, right? Like I get to change my mind. This goal might serve me for now. This budget now, this way of living might serve me for now, but it doesn't mean I have to stay in this place. And so I think that's true when people are trying to get out of debt, when people are trying to save for big things. It feels like sacrifice. But that's the short term for the long-term dream, right? We did, I don't know what possessed me to do this, but during COVID, I had 2 young ones, and we did a no-spend year. We decided we were just going to stop spending money. And so it was just essentials for an entire year. No Target with 2 young kids. I was homeschooling at the time, but it was our way of stopping the hemorrhage of the bank account. Like all the money coming in was going out, right? That's like young families that moms just buy everything for their kids. It's the narrative, the cultural narrative. And so was the no spend year hard? It was really hard, right? But we were able to do it because we knew it wasn't forever. And we also knew that we had what we needed. What we didn't have, we could borrow. The library, I have a renewed love for the library. Like I go there all the time. I'm on the board of my library now. Like,
nice.
We have access to so much that we forget about when we feel the cultural narrative that we need to own things to feel worthy. We don't need to own things to feel worthy. We are worthy. We don't even need to own things to solve problems a lot of the time. We can borrow. We have community for a reason. We have neighbors. And I wish we'd get back to that more, go down and borrow a cup of sugar. There's happiness in that because we are an interconnected species. And I feel like so many of the myths of Americans work against our happiness. And one of them is that you have to do it all on your own. And I think that gets in the way of our finances. We don't have to do it all on our own.
Yep.
We're so much better when we don't do it on our own. So it's a lot of unlearning.
100%.
And that's why we try to partner with our clients, right? Because then they're not doing it alone.
Yeah.
Right.
So many of them feel isolated and alone. Even if they have support systems, those support systems may not be the people they want to share all of that with, or they may not be a positive vibe in that particular conversation. And so like the notion that you have a safe space to process and do all of this, like absolutely. I feel like, it's one of the things that I struggled with when I was going through divorce is like, I felt so lonely. Yeah. And so, that community aspect is absolutely one of the things that I feel like this world has lost. And we're at least trying to build a little piece of that. And you are too. And so I just love that. So we could talk all night. We really, really could. So give us a plug for, your podcast and all the cool things that are going on, and leave us with one next step of wisdom where if I did it this week, I would be on the road to claiming my happiness.
Yeah. Well, first, thank you for this because this has been a lot of fun. You can find out more about all the work I do over at jessicalyonford.com, or you can go to unhappyamerican.com for the podcast and all the resources related to that. I have a best-selling book on Amazon called The Happy Leader Playbook, and it's all about how to live this out as a leader wherever you are leading, whether that's work or home or in organizations or out in the community. I have a new book in the that will come out this fall, and it is The Unhappy American. So it will be the 10 cultural myths that are working against our happiness and how we can change that narrative. And then what can I leave you with right now? I would say spend 10, 15 minutes over the next week. Like, you don't have to spend more than that. And make a list of the things that you want more of in your life. Is your version of happiness. Because once you have that list of what you want more of in your life, and usually it's people and relationships, and for me it's tacos, because I always want more tacos in my life, and more nature, more getting outside, whatever it is on your list. When you understand what you want, then you can start making the decisions to live in alignment with that, and you can stop spending your energy and resources on things that aren't lighting you up and funnel them into the life that you want for yourself. So just spend 10, 15 minutes and make the list of what you want in your life. And have fun doing it, because it's actually fun to realize that these are the things that are important to me.
Love it. Love it. Jessica, I love you and I love what you do. Speaking of community, I love that you use the word flourish, because that is what our group program is actually called in the new year. So if you're interested in joining us for some of that community starting in January, we're going to have new group webinars and coaching starting in January. This is a place where you can be a part of a community, have some of these lovely conversations. The QR code is there. Go to empoweringfinancialcoaching.com for more. We would love to have you with us. And again, Jessica, this has been lovely, and I can't wait to hear more episodes and read more books and do all the things. And I follow you like a devoted fan, and you know that. So thank you all for being here this evening, and we hope to see you again on another Ready, Set, Sunday. Thanks.
Thanks.